Behind the bleach blonde hair and devil-may-care smile, Paul wasn't always the playful lost boy you think you know. His past hides pain so deep, it makes his transformation into a vampire feel less like damnation and more like freedom. In today's video, we're digging into the heartbreaking and shocking vampire origins of Paul from the Lost Boys. Unlike the others, Paul's story begins in the picture-perfect 1950s. White picket fences, the smiling American dream. But inside that home, violence, cruelty, and a boy desperate to escape. Stick around, because Paul's road to becoming a vampire is one of the darkest yet most liberating stories in the Lost Boys universe. Paul was born in 1940, the youngest of 3 brothers, in a wealthy Florida suburb. From the outside, his family looked flawless. His father a successful car salesman, and his mother a picture-perfect housewife. They had money, fancy decor, the latest gadgets. Neighbors envied them, but that was just a mask. Behind closed doors, Paul's world was chaos. His mother had a violent temper, often lashing out physically. His father screamed until the walls shook, tearing Paul down at every turn. His twin older brothers, the Golden Boys, talented, praised, and merciless when it came to bullying Paul. Paul was never normal enough for them. He had ADHD before anyone understood what that even was. He fidgeted, interrupted, showed emotions his parents thought were embarrassing. So, they punished him. At school, teachers slapped rulers across his palms. Kids laughed. At home, his parents took away toys, locked him in his room, and beat him for the smallest mistakes. Paul wasn't living. He was surviving. At just 8 years old, Paul tried to run away. With nothing but a lunchbox full of toys, he wandered until he found train tracks. Trains were his escape, his dream of getting away. But when a train barreled toward him, his foot got caught. He screamed. And then, a miracle. A greaser on a motorcycle swept him up seconds before the train hit. This stranger wasn't like anyone Paul had ever met. Leather jacket, cigarette hanging from his lips, powerful bike rumbling beneath him. To Paul, he was the definition of cool and kind. He bought Paul fries and a milkshake at a diner, played games, let him dance to good rockin' tonight. For a few short hours, Paul felt alive. Before Paul's parents dragged him home, the greaser gave him a silver bracelet, a token of friendship, something Paul kept for the rest of his life. But instead of gratitude, his parents raged. Rock and roll was devil's music. Motorcycles, for hoodlums. They punished Paul harder than ever. From that point on, he wasn't just unhappy, he was trapped. The only thing that gave Paul hope was music. Late at night, he'd steal his brother's record player and sneak into the basement. Rock and roll became his lifeline. It was loud, wild, and free. Everything he wasn't allowed to be. But when Elvis Presley appeared on TV, his brothers mocked him, his parents exploded, and his punishment became even worse. They stripped his room bare. No books, no posters, no toys, just a bed, 4 walls, and misery. Paul thought about ending it all. That's how deep the abuse had cut. Then came the turning point. Paul got detention one night, and while walking home in the dark, he bumped into 3 boys, David, Marko, Dwayne. They looked like they'd stepped out of his dreams. Leather, rocker style, rebellious. They took him to a diner, fed him, danced with him, laughed with him. For the first time since that greaser by the tracks, Paul felt seen. They promised to come back. And they did. Night after night, they snuck him out through his window. They gave him jewelry, showed him makeup, took him on wild bike rides. Paul wasn't just living anymore. He was alive. He even had his first kiss with Marko. And though his parents would have called it sinful, Paul didn't care. For once, he felt love. But his parents weren't done. They caught him with the boys, dragged him back, and planned to ship him off to military school to crush his spirit for good. Panic consumed Paul. And then chaos. His lost boyfriends revealed their true nature. Fangs, yellow eyes, monsters, maybe. But to Paul, they were angels. They slaughtered his abusive family. While David held Paul close and shielded his ears from the screams, Paul was finally free. That night, Paul made his choice. He didn't see vampires as monsters. He had already lived with real monsters. His parents. He drank David's blood, sealing his fate. His first hunt was poetic. Back at the train tracks, he chose his victim. At first, he hesitated. Could he really kill? David reminded him. The world was full of cruel people. Why not take one less monster off the earth? Paul gave in. His instincts took over. He killed. And for the first time in his life, he smiled. A real smile. That night, Paul went wild. He broke into hotels, smoked weed, drank, danced naked, sang at the top of his lungs, and made love for the first time. He wasn't the broken little boy anymore. He was free. He was reborn. From then on, Paul became the playful one of the lost boys. The joker, the dancer, the singer, his ADHD now embraced, his love for music, unstoppable, his kindness, unmatched. He vowed never to cut his hair short again, never to be silenced, never to be trapped. He found family in David, Marko, Dwayne, and later Star and Laddie. He became the older brother he never had. Paul wasn't just a vampire. He was proof that even in the darkest stories, freedom can come from the unlikeliest places. Paul's story is one of tragedy, rebellion, and ultimate transformation. From a boy beaten down by the perfect lie of the American dream, to a vampire who finally found joy, music, and love in the night. And that silver bracelet? The one given to him by the greaser who saved him as a child. He wore it forever. A reminder of the moment he first realized there was life outside the cage. If you thought Paul's origin was dark, wait until you see the twisted story of Fright Night.